Today is a new day to start again. Take each moment one by one and do the best you can. Yesterday doesn't matter, it only serves as a ladder. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed, so make your plans accordingly. Today is a new day to start again. Take each moment one by one and do the best you can. Grand Rising, today is a new day to start again. It is 6/14/2025. Let's try that again. I whiffed like the Pacers did last night. Man, I was shocked. I thought it was poor coaching. And obviously they shot a lot of free throws. There was a lot of fouls in the game. The last 3 games have really had a lot of fouls in them. Just the whole broadcast was terrible. It does look staged, and the way that the broadcasters work, they obviously have objectives. They get feedback of the negative feedback of what they did in previous broadcasts, and you see them trying to correct, but it's not genuine. It's a train wreck. It's really not enjoyable to watch. I try to turn down the sound because the commentation on the game is so awful. So, and I'm a truther. I think all of this stuff is probably symbology. It's got nefarious stuff to it, intertwined in it, even though I'm putting intent because it's fun and I enjoy it. But I know that there's probably things about it that is very negative. And that shows whenever you're watching stuff like that and the way that it ended up. They should have won that game for sure. And it's very strange why they didn't. I haven't liked how they have scheduled the finals. I don't understand the scheduling of the days. They take like 4 days off. They can pick whatever days they want to do. And the way that they scheduled it is very strange. Like Sunday, 8:30 start time is a weird. Why would you put a finals game at 8:30 on a Sunday night when you have an opportunity to really put it on any day that you want? So the whole thing is very strange. The lineups, it doesn't make any sense. It's been raining a lot lately, so my mood is really down. When I woke up this morning, I wasn't even going to do a video. The fact that these games all start at 8:30 at night doesn't end them until like 11:30 at night. So that's throwing my whole sleep cycle off, which that is part of, I have guilt because I'm investing into this when I think it's probably bad and I'm getting poor results and it's affecting my life in a negative way, yet I keep doing it. So I am a hypocrite. I acknowledge that. I try to not be, but I have definitely, this whole Pacers thing has been a thing for me because I say that it's nostalgia, but it's really the endorphins that I get from it that I enjoy. This has not been a summer of love so far for me. June I thought was going to be this great month, and we're halfway through, and just each month has been turning out to be mediocre or less than expectations as far as really a lot of different areas. But my stomach has also been funky. I'm not eating great. I'm eating things that I'm getting protein in my body because I'm trying to. I don't know. I'm not being disciplined per se I'm buying things. I'm being more economical than I am nutritional when it comes to my sustenance. And convenience, because I'm a little bit not following through with just self stuff in my house. I need to do my laundry. I need to finish my dishes. And all of those are not that hard to do. I just need to go do them. But all of that is lying on top of it raining outside, and the Pacers lost in a bad way. And so like when I got home last night, and I'm very slow at work. So I'm going to work and I'm having to find my way through 8 hours of me just not. I'm analyzing how much money I'm making per hour and if this is helping my life in any way. And then I really zone back into the fact that like it's the stability of having a job is what is the most important thing right now. So I have a lot of knowledge in this actual opportunity that I'm in. And I'm just in a very strange situation. I do wish I could help more. There are things I could do. I could start doing little projects and it would increase business. So I know that's what I need to do, but I need to do it in a way that's not showing like I'm trying to show up the person that I'm working with. But there's a whole thing about the pace that you're walking and the people that you're with. And if the person that is above you is at a certain pace, it's hard for you to go at a pace that's higher than that. So it's very difficult, the situation that I'm in. So there are so many things that could be done to increase business, but this is what it feels like is where I'm at. I'm not in the way. When I'm looking at following the way, it doesn't feel like it's the way. It's not producing fruit. But I do need the stability of the job. I'm hoping for a good weekend. I know that the trend does not look promising. The traffic has been the best traffic I got in the last week was someone from another business that the customer came in to do something at that business and they were referred to us. And I thought that was, but that's the best way to increase business. So I need to network more, but that requires me to be out in public. I am networking. I'm just trying to find my best way that I can help my opportunities. But it's just been very slow. And I should be doing things in the store that I think would help improve, and I could. I just need to be strategic about how I do it. I'm talking myself through this. I need to make sure that I'm ready though. And I'm pretty good at assessing my situation, and I have understood the floor, and I can't sustain my life on, like, if I make 0 sales for a week or 2 weeks, I start to really get into a situation where I'm going to be economically in a bad situation. So when I'm watching it, because of the way that my life is right now and the way that I'm trying to sustain, that's somewhat stressful. So while I'm there, I'm stressing about the fact that I need to get a guest. And when you get a guest, you can't be like, man, I haven't seen anybody all day, and I'm telling you, I need to sell this. What do you want? What is it that you need? Because I need to sell it. That's not a good approach. So you have to have the right attitude. And part of that is doing things that make it to where you feel like you've earned the right. Whether you're buying or not, I've done my job today is really a good attitude that you can have. And it's more comfortable for the customer. So but you have to have the right pricing, the right messaging, and do you have the ingredients for success? Yes. Can I benefit? I don't know. And I'm praying and I'm meditating is all I've been trying to do, is really go back to that, because that's what I preach about. When you find a dead end, when it feels like you're in a dead end, you either make yourself comfortable and make the best of the situation and build. You're never going to find a perfect situation. Every time wherever you go, there's going to be something that needs to be done that you're going to have to do. There's going to be a stump that's going to need to be moved. There's going to be plumbing that's going to need to be fixed, or there's going to be something that's going to need to be done that's probably out of your comfort zone. That's just the way life is. But when you get to a place where you're pretty much settled and there's nowhere to go and it's just not worth it to go back from what you've seen so far. So you just commit yourself to where you're at. Or you buck up and say this isn't going to work, and you get yourself ready for another long journey of very uncertainty. And you can't do both though. You can't sit there and get comfortable while you can kind of do a little bit of a balance, but you usually have to have psychologically some kind of a timetable in your head, or you'll just go crazy. It's not sustainable. If you stay where you're at, you have to make it sustainable. You have to find solutions that make it sustainable to where you're at. And if you can't do that, then put up the sales. But you must make changes to do that. I enjoy working with purpose. I truly struggle with nonsense. I hate doing things that I think are stupid, but I have to do them because of where I'm at. It doesn't make me feel like I'm smarter. It just makes me feel like it's not the way. And what I want to do is follow the way. So when you force me to do something that's not following the way, it irritates my soul. So that's why I struggle so. And I have an interesting soul. I'm probably just more aligned to be in a situation that's not as in so much of a social environment, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I'm social. When I do math on my time and weigh that against, so I got this inflated idea of what I should be doing with my life. I feel like I'm called to show what the way is. And while I'm spending my time, I'm in a job that, it's just really limited hourly because it's a profit, it's an income-based job. It's a commission-based job. And my 8-year-old self starts asking questions like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, well, we have to have a job. And I go, yeah, but you're not making any money. And I'm like, I know that. And he's like, and it doesn't look like you're going to. And I'm like, I know. And he goes, so what are you doing? And I'm like, it's not that simple. And he goes, well, explain it to me. and I finally have to say, listen, I know that you're right, but you need to just go sit over there. I'm tired of listening to you because it's not helping me. And he's like, well, I'm trying to help you. But what am I supposed to? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I've been asking. What are we losing from this? And that's what my 8-year-old's saying. He's like, he sees the hourglass. He sees that I'm 50. And he's like, dude, look at you. Why are you doing this? And I'm like, because I got a couple cats. Settle down, little boy. This is the least amount of money I've ever made. But I do have a job. I see so many things that would improve the situation, but I literally sit on my hands and keep my mouth shut. I definitely don't want to make things worse. I don't want to lose my job. There are very low expectations for me, but I have limited income. I mean, that's kind of how things work. So I need to recognize that. But then my life keeps calling me. What am I doing with my time? I don't work that many hours. I have plenty of time outside of that. It does feel like because stress is a thing. And because of the stress that I'm enduring while I'm doing this and keeping my smile on my face and being a good soldier, I am, when I get home, I have to sleep. I feel like I have to sleep. And it has been helping me. And when I wake with my time, I am getting stronger. I think my message is getting better even though I'm doing longer videos. I really want these to be like 7 or 8 minutes, but we just lost a huge game, the Pacers did. And the way that we lost, it was really disappointing. So it's led to my mood, and I have guilt because I'm investing my time into something that I don't think that they can come back and win this series. I don't think that they were the better team. I think that they had momentum and they lost it. And I really wish that they would have been. My biggest complaint is the minutes of Siakam. I think he should have been in the game sooner. I think that basically from what I saw in game 3, Mathurin or Siakam should have been, one of those two should have been in the game at all times. They should have sparsed their minute. I thought they were going to start Mathurin. And when they didn't, and they played him significant minutes in the first quarter, but then he was basically not in the game after that. And I just didn't really understand it. I understand, this is what I had. I'm going to say it. I think it was ego. When I listened to the press conference, I listened to Carlisle talking, and Mathurin was kind of getting a big head. And I listened to Carlisle, and Carlisle was basically saying that anybody at any point could come out and score 25 points. And I kind of feel like Toppins got hot, and he wanted to lead into that narrative. and he gave Toppin should have been in the game. And quite frankly, I love Miles Turner, but he's obviously, I heard that he's a little hurt, and he's not playing well. He didn't play well in the last game, and he didn't play well in this game, in my opinion. Toppins is a way better fit. So I'm not saying you don't play Miles Turner. I'm saying that he should have been not in the game as much as he was. And frickin' Mathurin should have definitely been in the game more. And so probably should have. It looked like both of our penetrations from Halliburton and from everybody penetrating into the lane was struggling a lot more this game. So penetration wasn't working. So the mid-range jumper, and Mathurin just gets to the line. We got in freaking foul trouble early in the fourth quarter. Mathurin should have been in the game once we got into the bonus, period. That's so stupid. Anybody that watches basketball, he catches a foul every time he touches the ball, basically, because he's such an impressive. He's also it's just so stupid. They lost the game because of bad coaching and not knowing the moment, I guess. And if there was anybody I wanted in that game, it was very frustrating. So nobody can complain about anything about the refs, in my opinion. It was just bad. And timeouts was poorly utilized. Just because it worked in one game of not using a timeout in a key moment doesn't mean that there wasn't opportune times to use a timeout at the end of that game. Sorry, Carlisle. I really think you're a good coach. I don't really understand what happened in that game. It didn't make any sense to me, and we should have never lost it. And I really kind of put it on you because you're the leader. So I don't know what happened. Everybody makes mistakes. My life's a train wreck. So I think for me, my heart, but that sucked. They might come back and bounce back. They do have a lot of resolve in their team. Halliburton looked a little bit out of the moment. I feel like Nembhard probably should have taken the reins a little bit earlier. He tried to get a shot off in the end there, but and he missed it. But it was in a weird spot too. They just all looked out of flow because Halliburton should have probably taken earlier shots maybe, because it seemed like he didn't take his shot. He passed it off, and then they were like, well, what am we doing? We're going to give it back to you, right? That's what it kind of felt like a little bit. Whereas if Mathurin would have been in the game, if you gave the ball to Mathurin, he would have went to the line. This was so stupid. Or even Siakam, there was a stretch in the game where he should have been in the game too. But he was getting a little ahead. I liked it. I just think he would have been smarter. It just didn't make any sense. It was bad coaching. But I wanted to move on from that because even with that, my whole life right now, I feel I have a broken heart. And for a long time now, I've just been kind of disappointed. And I believe there are so many things that are wrong around me. And I could spend the rest of my life trying to fix all of them. And there would still be things to fix because there's just things that are all around. If I'm aware of the things that need to be fixed, and I have been gifted with this awareness that I know how to fix them, do I not bear the responsibility to fix them? But if I don't become aware, if I turn my head, if I don't see, hear, and speak, if it rains too much around where I'm at in Kokomo, there's a creek that's called the Wildcat, and it gets up and out. It's a smaller creek bed, and when we get a certain amount of rain, the creek bed is too small for the flow of water. So in several areas, there's what's called floodplains. And I don't know if the place was designated a floodplain area before they built the golf course, or if that was a designation that was made after the golf course was built. But there was a golf course that was built west of Kokomo, Indiana, on the banks of the Wildcat Creek. And at the time it was built, the creek water typically would not get as high. But because of all of the industrial blacktop that's been built in Kokomo over the last 30 years, and because of different subdivisions in the flow of waters, the water that comes into Kokomo goes into the creek, and the creek bed just quite frankly doesn't handle the amount of water flow. So because of that, as the water flows, it gets to Green Acres, and it that's the name of the golf course, and it floods that area. And the golf course is actually separated by that creek. So literally you can't get to the other side. There's they call it God's country. There's 4 holes that are on the other side of the creek that you just simply can't play, even if it wasn't so wet. And then also, because the whole course is surrounded by this creek, it basically runs around the whole creek, it floods the whole course. And it doesn't even take that much rain to do it anymore. So when it does rain a lot, especially when it's in the middle of the summer, it takes a long time for the waters to recede back. And the sun beats down, and it takes a beautiful golf course and basically destroys it. And that happens pretty routinely. And it's hard to run a business from that. So that's made me sad today, because I'm near that. I'm no longer affiliated with it, but I feel that, because it was one of the most depressing things you could have happen. When I was a young man, I was running that golf course, and we'd already suffered some bad floods, and we got some government help with government loaning, and I tried to, I had access to a lot of money, and I tried to make this golf course this great place, and you can't control the weather. And I overstepped. Man. And it's Father's Day, so coming Sunday. Wow. It was really hard. My dad would just start drinking whenever he knew it was going to come out. It'd take about 3 or 4 inches of rain. Sometimes he'd start to get to 5 range, and my dad was already a drinker, so you'd just think, oh, fuck it, I'm going to get drunk. So then when you're a young man trying to run the golf course and your dad's starting to get drunk, well, you're like, there's nothing you can do. I mean, really, honestly. That's one thing I did like about my dad, was whenever shit hit the fan, he was just like, well, I mean, whatever. Just gonna have fun now, I guess. Make the best of it. He was pretty good at doing that, but sometimes made it worse just because he indulged so much and numbed. But anyways, that was such a weird breakdown there. I wasn't expecting that. What is a floodplain? Okay, let's wrap this up on a Saturday. We survived Friday the 13th. That's also probably had something to do with it. The Pacers just basically gave away a championship. It really was a bummer for me. And my heart is still kind of just broken anyways, so I look forward to I was hoping to be celebrating. And also, I got to go to work. It just rained all night, so I know the golf course, like I said, I have nothing to do with that golf course anymore, but that makes me sad. And I'm going to go into work, and we've had very limited opportunities. So I have to I'm trying to just build myself back up. You just have to adapt to the situation, and I'm going to be fine. How do you adapt and react? Is based on your awareness. I just have to treat the next 8 hours. It's not the end of the world. It's just is what it is. And hopefully maybe I'll have a big day. And that's the funny thing about sales. I just haven't seen any kind of a ceiling. That's what you look at in this type of a income base. You want to know what your floor is, what's the least amount of money I'm going to make in a month, and then what's the potential. And that's how you can kind of gauge what you're going to be able to do to improve your life. But if you're looking at your income potential and you're just like, I'm not in a situation where I'm going to have an opportunity to make more money, then you're very, what do you can't just keep, what's the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over and to expect different results. Are you aware in your present moment though? So regardless of what that is, I can't change any of that, especially not today. So when I go into work, I have to make sure that the Pacers, the last thing I want to do is talk about the Pacers all day. That's over. In fact, I don't want to put my intent into that at all. And I had some moments this morning of waking up and like, I'm done. I'm not going to watch the Pacers ever again. But I didn't really go that deep into it. But my 8-year-old self was like, why are we watching this, man? I didn't even like sports when I was 8. I was like, I'd rather go play them and go do stuff. Anyways, I get back to that 8-year-old self, the Carl Jung thing. If anybody's still watching this, that's kind of where that comes from. It's where you put your intent. So when I go to work today, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to do the best I can today, in the moment that I'm in. I'm in a very strange place in my life. It feels like if I practice patience and be disciplined and stay aware, wherever I am, I will be grounded. I'll stay centered, and I've been breathing. I don't have expectations. In fact, my expectations are very low right now. I just really want. I've said what I want, but I can't do anything right now to make that better. I'm trying to find a way to. I want to show what I've learned to the people that are around me, though. Like, do the best in the moments that I can where I'm at. And if I expect excellence from myself in my moments while I'm out there, and I keep myself reminded, if I work on me, in every moment the same. So that's the other thing that they'll talk about in like NBA basketball in the playoffs. You'll hear these guys say, this is just like any other game. That's how you treat it. In each moment, I've heard them talk about it. That's how they get their mindset. But I think that's not true, first of all. So there's a big difference between 2 minutes left in a basketball game when it's the determining game. It's game 4 where you get to go from 3-1 or 2-2. He even said that. There's such a monumental difference. So there's 2 minutes left in the game and you have the ability to do that. That's when the championship is won. So are you at your best at that moment? And there were just poor decisions. I just don't think that they knew that moment. I think that they were treating it like every other game and trying to go through but they needed to be much more strategic and probably slow it down more. It seemed like it went really fast and it was out of grip the last minute and 36. That's where the other team, the Thunder, did a much better job of like the point differential versus the amount of time left in the game. And like that, from 2 minutes to 1 minute and 36 seconds, it's like we went from a 1 to 2 possession game to out of reach, and there was nothing we can do. It like slipped out of our hands. It was the officials because of fouls, but we got into an intentional foul situation. Then we got called for these the whole thing did seem very rotten. But in the end of it, there were a lot of horrible coaching decisions, I thought. The overall play was pretty good. I felt like the coaching decisions were poor. The Pacers did not look like a team that was 10 possessions away from the NBA championship, that they hadn't won in 25 years. All of the symbolism to it, Reggie Miller, all of it. Just like somebody needed to be there and say, wake the fuck up! Like, do you know what's going on here? Slow this shit down. Nembhard probably should have been involved more, maybe. I have always felt, even though that Halliburton's had these great moments, in the moment there, I felt like he should have been somebody catching and shooting more than dribbling around, unless you're going to take the shot earlier. That's what I said. This whole thing with him doing this and like, well, I thought you were going to shoot. And then you give me the ball and you're like, well, now what do I do with it? And then he did get it late in the shot clock one time, but regardless, they looked lost when they should have been not lost. And Mathurin came off the bench at the very end after Naismith fouled out, which Naismith should have been pulled much earlier. Even though he's a great player and he had great moments, the dynamic of where they were at, you could have kept him in and pulled Turner and brought in, or even maybe brought up Toppins. Toppins was hot, So it totally made sense that he was in. But the fact that Mathurin got such limited minutes, it was just poor coaching, and I think it was his ego. I truly think it was his ego. I think he should have known. Anybody in basketball would have known Mathurin should have probably played the entire fourth quarter. And so should have Paschall. So I guess it's all over now. We'll move on to Game 5. I have to endure their horrible commentary, which has just been awful. And I really don't want to hear it going in to the next one. That was other thing, is they started to actually be like pro Pacers. They were almost writing off the game in their commentary. It was, for the first time that I've been listening to them, they were like finally starting to come and say that the Pacers were they were talking up their defense and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden they lost. It just happened so fast. Kind of like my marriage. I had a marriage that lasted for 9.5 years, and then all of a sudden it just went boom, done. There was no turning back. I need to bear down and be ready. That's where we're at. I've heard the news a little bit. I know that there's a lot going on in the Middle East. I know there's a lot going on in California. I know there's a lot of divisiveness. I just don't want to put my intent into it. And I'm going to watch the Pacers on Monday. I'm going to go to work today and treat it like every other day. Like I said, you should not. But, stay in the moment and do my best. I doubt we're going to have much traffic. So I need to start looking at some things that will help me and follow through with doing some things on these tags so I can have a better flow. That's something that I can do. What I'm going to do is prioritize things that will help me sell better in the environment that I'm currently in, without changing anything that will have any effect on, like, what's seen by the customer. Like, I'd like to change the entire tagging and messaging of the whole store, honestly, and rearrange some things. But I don't want to do any of that. I do want to simplify my ability to be able to bounce around, because we don't really have enough traffic. I was worried for a second there that we would have so much traffic and customers would be bouncing around that you wouldn't have an opportunity to talk to. But you pretty much get the opportunity to take a customer from beginning to end of presentation. So I can stay with it and use me basically the entire time and the product that I have in the store. So what I need to do is figure out how much I can sell off of, where I can go if I need, so I can have the most available opportunity to sell at the highest clip, which I don't really need to have that as my mentality, but it is important to have a higher ticket average in my environment. So I have to figure out ways, especially on mattress ups right now. I'm in a situation where I don't have very many expensive mattresses to go to. So I'm limited it, and I can sell a ceiling of the mattress. But if you can only make so much money off of a customer that does come in, and you only get so many customers, and you're relying on that, I mean, you got to figure out ways to maximize that. What else could I sell off of that? How can I? That's what salespeople do that are really good. They find ways to make money in basically every environment. And I'm a good salesman, so I'll figure it out. Hope everybody has a great day out there. Do great, be grateful. Sorry for the long video. I really didn't intend it to be, but I needed some help because the Pacers really kind of disappointed me. And I've been a little bit disappointed with life recently, and I know that that is not what I should be doing. I should be grateful, very grateful for everything that I have, and use that gratefulness in my moments to the best of my abilities. And that's how things grow. And it doesn't take that many seeds to really catch root, to gain some fruit. You just need one or two good trees. Hope everybody has a great day out there. Do great, be grateful.